Treasury's Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat that. 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly $1.1 billion flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, that is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there. Hundreds of millions more flowed through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate. The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions, to process payments related to sex trafficking. A lot of the women and girls he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and elsewhere.
Did you see that? Did you?
Happy Socialist Sunday, people. Welcome to the Sunday live stream here on my left eye. Sorry about the brief delay in getting started there. Bit of a crash with the broadcast software. But we have a very well-trained technical response team here. So yeah, apologies for that. Welcome to the stream, everybody. I'm your host, Lefty, coming to you from Manchester in the UK this evening. And just as I come on stream, the Lionesses are lifting the European trophy. Congratulations to the Lionesses on the victory over Spain just before I came on air. It went down to penalties, but they held strong in the end, and couple of good saves as well in that shootout, I believe. So congratulations to the Lionesses. Catching up on the week's events here on the stream, as well as some developing stories. My goodness. Bit of a hint there with the opening clip with Rick. I don't know how a poor student can afford so many television sets. But yeah, the heat's certainly on Trump at the moment. I'll be getting into that. I'll tell you the rest of what's coming up on the stream when we get into the Fondue Lounge, which we like to do on Sundays. First of all, who have we got in the chat? Fulmar, great to see you. Katie Marshall as well. The friendly neighbourhood Scottish Marxist is with us. How you doing? I used the Paul Mason video on your stream. Good stuff. Thanks a lot for that, Katie. I'll check that out. He's a bloody fool, that's for sure. Yeah, please check that latest video out if you've not seen it. Yeah, thanks a lot, Katie, for helping to spread the good word as well. And it's down to people like Katie and others that we've managed to surpass 4,000 subscribers recently on the channel. Celebrated that on Friday. I'm very pleased to say that we've now soared way past that and gone past 4,500, which is fantastic. Had a great response to recent content on the channel. Thank you so much for all of your support, everybody. Your comments help as well, and hitting the thumbs up button on this stream help, for example, so please make sure that you've done that. If you want to share this stream or other content around your social media, please do give us a follow whilst you're there. We use the handle @MyLeftIUK on Blue Sky, which is the preferred medium, but we're also still on Twitter, as well as a developing platform called Mastodon, so check us out. We have Flow Snake in the chats also. How are you flowing this evening? Genie Bottle, nice to see you as well. And Moe's with us. Doc Davies in the house. JK. Happy Socialist Sunday to you all. Yeah, there was a small amount of pushback on the video. I'll hold my hands up and say I was perhaps being slightly liberal with the context. And I don't want to sound like a Tory when I'm explaining this, but yes, just to point out, Paul Mason wasn't directly comparing Corbyn to you-know-who, but it was more about comparing the new party to the German Communist Party in the 1930s that stood aside. They thought, oh, people will soon be sick of this Mr. H guy, and then we'll be bound to win the election afterwards. That's what he's claiming happened in 33. It wasn't, though. That's not the way it went down. But he shouldn't make such ridiculous comparisons. My analysis of the situation, of course, was a lot closer to the truth than Paul Mason's. He's an asset. We know he is. He's a fool as well. Ian McKenna, great to see you. Yes, Chloe Kelly and other heroines in the team. Congratulations. I don't think they'll have run straight off to join us on the stream. They've probably got other priorities at the moment, but well done. And the keeper as well, Hampson. Apologies if I mispronounce the surname there. Great saves. Right, people, I think it's high time, as well as offering congratulations to the Lionesses. Another round of thanks to all of the members on the channel. Every single one of you has really helped the channel grow, helped the community grow. Really do appreciate that. As well as the success of recent content. The Kate Nash video has gotten over 36,000 views now. Thank you very much for your support with that one. And the one that, well, it went public this morning. It was members first, which is a benefit of joining this fantastic list, but that's gone over 5,000 views now. Thank you very much for all your support again. Great stuff. And you're all wonderful people as well. So yes, gifted memberships are the preferred way of helping to contribute to the channel, but super chats are open for anybody watching live, and super thanks if you're watching back later on. Just going to bring up the live chat now. Get you people involved in the conversation here. Let the people be seen. Okay, there we go. Also, just quickly on memberships and gifted memberships, etc. We did reach, I think it was a record target of 127 members on the last live stream. Unfortunately, over the weekend, I have to say, be honest, quite a few people haven't renewed the memberships from last month, and it's taken us just below the 100 mark again, which hasn't happened for a while, but we're looking to get to the target of 250 people. But one thing that's important, please do renew your memberships as well. Guess the way that happens is some people receive gifted memberships. They might not watch live streams, for example. It just picks random subscribers. But we do hope that anybody who receives a gifted membership checks out other perks for being a member. Get static emojis on the live streams, early viewings on content. There's exclusive stuff out there, videos on a range of topics as well. And more to come. Mr. Quimper, thank you very much for joining us on the stream. Happy Socialist Sunday to you. And wow, thank you Fulmar very much for joining us with a membership. Great stuff. That means I can change the total to 99. Come on people, just one away from getting back into triple figures. That's the spirit, Fulmar. Really appreciate that support, solidarity. Big up Fulmar in the chat please everybody. And it will be a pleasure to add your name to that list of members. That's another perk, by the way. You get regular shoutouts. I believe credit and recognition where it's deserved. Not just a high-speed scroll of, you know, names that you can barely make out. You get regular shoutouts on videos and on live streams as well. And well, wow, fantastic, Katie. Thanks again. Doing even more to support the channel, not just sharing content on your streams as well. Getting us over the 100 mark with another gifted membership. Marvellous. Oh, is it? Oh. Ah, Clive as well. Brilliant. 105 then. Thank you very much, Politics Clive. I should say as well, I've noticed quite a few people on the stream commenting on recent vids as well. Thanks a lot for that. It's great to engage with you there, as well as here on the streams. Marvellous. What a good start to the stream. Good to see the solidarity going around this Socialist Sunday. Still reasons to be cheerful in the geopolitical mire. Right people, let's now dip into the Fondue Lounge, which we do every Sunday. And this great bit that's put together by the Agitator, who also provides the Yvette Cooper test card, which you saw at the beginning of the stream. I have used that on every stream this week, but I think I'm just going to be doing that on Sunday live streams from now on. Don't want it to get too repetitive there. Plus I think with the jazz background music on that clip, it ties in very well with Herbie and the Rangers, who you can hear in the background. The Sunday live stream resident jazz band. Great stuff. We'll be hearing back from Herbie and the lads in a moment, after we dip in for some cheesy gate crashing. And if you want to know what Keith's preferred thing to dip into his cheesy pot is, it is of course sausages. He loves it. He's all about it, people. Bloody Teeth. Great name. Thanks for joining us on the stream. And a recipient of a gifted sub. That's great to see the community growing in that way. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. You're very welcome here this evening. So what's coming up on the stream, people? Yes, also teased you already teased you with that bit of news about Trump. These wire transfers, or bank transfers if you prefer, that's what we're saying, the UK. Not just a couple, here and there. Thousands, totaling what we have to say is quite a big chunk of change. So going into the latest on that situation. Of course, with it being a Sunday, there have been various politicians and whatnot doing the news rounds. I'll be diving into one or two of those, including someone who finally, after 2 years of escalation in occupation and war crimes, has decided to pop his head out of the parapet and go, oh, do you know what? I think what Israel are up to might be a little bit dodgy. And it's none other than old Bob Geldof, who you might have seen in memes or whatever, but of course historically was the co-founder of Live Aid back in the 80s. So he's done an interview with Sky News. I'll be giving you my 2 cents on that. It'll be a first time viewing for me. That I've seen one clip of it, but thought we'd go through the full thing together here on the stream. Of course, I'll have the Gaza latest coming up as well, including protests and protests about protest groups. Layers within layers, people. Of course, further protests against the prescription of PAL action, and one particular arrest which, if you are from these shores, will, if you're like me, it will make you utterly disgusted to know that this is happening in your country. One example I'll be sharing with you later. Sorry, just nearly knocked something over. Okay, we're all good. I'll potentially be out protesting myself next weekend, or at least documenting a protest. More details on that to come. I do like to bring you some on the ground footage as often as I can. Of course, long-term viewers will know that I am myself a campaigner and activist, so yeah, keep your eyes peeled. So not a good week for Keith overall, really. All the focus has been on this new party. Don't try and blame the new party on the surge in popularity for reform. That's just ignorant and childish, really. But now it's all gonna begin. If you remember the 2017 and 2019 campaigns, I think we're probably going to be looking at similar levels of bullshit, but we must be relentless in our resolve, people. Now that Corbyn is officially on board, we know the support that comes with that, but we also know the incredible amount of fear and panic from the establishment, and just the very lengths that they're prepared to go to stop people like Corbyn and Zara Sultana from gaining the seat of power here in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So, let the games begin, if you want to put it that way. But I, for one, certainly feel positive, and I won't hear any talk of the left being split. So, it looks as though everybody's going to be working together going forward. So yeah, I guess I include Zach Polanski, who is more than likely going to be the next leader of the Greens. He'll be brought into that as well. How closely they'll be working together. Remains to be seen what the tactics will be. What are you thinking? Because I know that some commentators and such have even called for a full coalition vis-a-vis the Groins. Start again. The Greens. Don't think I'm going to live. Don't think I'm going to live that one down. The Greens and the new unnamed Your Party, left-wing party. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, Socialists. Yeah, that's right. That party. Will they join as one? Will they combine? What do you think? Obviously, what you might want to happen and what's realistically going to happen might not be the same. Certainly is in my case. Edward Sexby, great to see you in the chat, which I think I need to refresh. It's lagging a little bit on the screen there. There we go. Yeah, I feel good. What I would like to see, let's assume that they're still going to be separate by the time of the next election, is either a Green candidate or this new left-wing party on the ballot in every seat. Because you can't be splitting the vote if there isn't a choice on the ballot. What do you think about that? Odin Allfather's with us as well. Let me see, what else do I have coming up? Of course, the latest on Gaza will include this overstated effort by Israel to get aid inside, which you might not be too shocked to reveal. Has come to be not as described. More on that in a short while, though. Get cracking in a moment with a comedy clip. As we just allow anyone who is enjoying a second helping of fondue, wash it down with a refreshing glass of truth. We'll be cracking in just one moment, people. Yeah, that music. It's the best earworm on the internet. Get with it, people. Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
Off we go with the opening clip, comedy clip, from the wonderful Matt Green, who I've featured fairly numerous times on the channel, but you should give him a follow if you're not familiar with him. And he's on about the recent right-wing demonstrations, air quotes, that took place across the country. You might, again, not be shocked to find out that they turned out to be violent in a lot of cases. But they weren't condemned from right-wing politicians, from Tories, and so on. Instead, obviously because the immigration issue is so much of a a part of the Tory rhetoric at the moment. All that they say in defence of the rioters is that they have legitimate concerns. That phrase, legitimate concerns. So that's what Matt Green's going to be delving into with this vid. Check it out, people, it's a good one.
Protests, driven by online misinformation and stoked by the far right, are spreading across the country. As a politician, how do you feel about that? Well, people are angry and they have legitimate concerns. But would you agree that much of that concern is in fact driven by rumours that are false and are being deliberately whipped up? Who am I to say that someone's concerns aren't legitimate? I mean, some of these migrants probably are criminals. The police have said there's no evidence of widespread criminal behaviour. Well, I've seen lots of evidence. What kind of evidence? Evidence of concern. Concern. Legitimate concern. I was asking about evidence. Well, it's evident people are concerned. We're getting reports that some of these protests are starting to turn violent. People are worried they might turn into riots. Well, people have concerns. Legitimate concerns. Exactly. And whilst I would never condone violence, I can understand why these people have concerns. Will you condemn the violence? I'd never condone violence, but I can understand why people are angry and want to make their voices heard. And look, if I lived in some of those places, then maybe I'd want to smash things up. But is violence ever the answer? No. Not for me. What? But for other people, well, I can understand it, which is why I'm putting out posts on social media designed to address their legitimate concerns. By promising to deal with the underlying causes? No, by agreeing with them and then implying that many migrants are criminals. Is that not just pouring petrol onto the fire? Only metaphorically. But people might literally try to burn things down. And I'd never condone that. But you won't condemn it. Look, what can I say? People have legitimate concerns? Exactly. Turning to another story, a number of elderly protesters were arrested this week after holding up placards in support of Palestine action. Lock them up and throw away the key. Are their concerns not legitimate? You're sounding a bit like a terrorist. Next up, as Donald Trump arrives in Scotland and immediately criticises Europe for letting in too many immigrants, we ask, when exactly is he going to go home then?
Haha, good point. Matt Green. Check out mattgreencomedy.com. If you want to know more, he's on tour at the moment as well. In fact, protest. I'll just give him a quick emphasised plug for these tour dates. Please do check them out if you're close to any of these locations. The tours later on this autumn/winter. That's fall/winter if you're watching in the States. Starting off in Leicester, ending up in Brighton. He's going to be here at the Frog and Buckets in Manchester, so I'll be checking that one out myself. Okay, take note, people. Marvellous Matt Green there. Graham Turner, wonderful to see you. Glad that you've come out of keeping a low profile to join us on the Sunday live stream. Great to see you here as always. Please make sure you've hit thumbs up on the chat, people. I can see we have 28 people watching live now, but only 15 likes. Please double check that you've hit that thumbs up button. I think we'll get into Trump matters to begin with. This is shocking. I didn't think things could be even worse, of course. Trump's greasy fingerprints are all over this Epstein case, if you want to put it that way. And it's been weeks now. Do the files exist? They do. They don't. Or they do, but Trump isn't in them. Oh, he is in them. He's known that he's in them since May. This is what's been going on. He's had rants on social media in the middle of the night saying, just stop talking about it. please. As he gets increasingly desperate and backed into a corner. Graham Turner, thank you very much for that super chat there. Solidarity. And let's give that some love and appreciation there. Thank you very much, brother. Big up Graham in the chat there, people. So what else has been going on in this whole thing? The missing minute of the CCTV surveillance footage from outside of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Now, of course, officially on the record, it says that he took his own life. But quite a few people think that might just be somewhat too convenient given the circumstances, and that a lot of high-profile people, shall we say, have been alleged to be involved in this child trafficking case that also involves former Israeli Mossad agent Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine. The late Robert Maxwell. Didn't he die on a boat? Didn't he get killed on a boat? But he had connections with Israel at the time. Just pointing that out. Ghislaine Maxwell is currently incarcerated, of course, but she's been dragged out to speak to the Justice Department for some reason to talk about, what, people that don't exist. The fact that she was incarcerated for providing these revolting, should we say, air quotes, services. No, I don't want to use that word. That's awful. That's not appropriate whatsoever. You know what I'm getting at, though. But she was dealing with nobody. She's incarcerated, having taken money from nobody, and these invisible, unnamed people did all these unspeakable acts on Epstein Island. What do they want to talk about? Are they going to be talking about how much she knows about just how many of Trump's greasy prints are all over it? It's not just he, it's not just Trump. It's other politicians. We've heard that it is perhaps high profile, should we say, legacy musicians as well. Some of whom are no longer with us, some of them are. Allegedly former presidents. And probably allegedly some people who are regular visitors to Keith's Fondue Lounge, shall we say, as well. You know what I mean. I can't say his name without vomiting, so I won't even attempt to do so. So let's just take another look at that clip. If you've been with us from the start, when Rick was smashing up yet another television. But I couldn't believe it when I heard this. I couldn't believe it. There's no way now, excuse me, I'll turn into Nick Robinson. There's no way now that Trump can deny his involvement with this. They barely knew the guy. Rhetoric that he's been using from the start just really is out the window now. Come on, Donald. Hold your hands up.
Treasury's Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat.
Now, if you don't know somebody, would you send them 4,725 individual bank transfers? 4,725.
That 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly 1.1.
I mean, so just do the maths on that. You have to be talking about multiple transfers per day. Otherwise, that's years, decades, if it's even one transfer per day. This is insane. And the total amount of money,
$1 billion.
$1.1 billion. $1.1 billion, $1,100 million US. That's about £1.5 billion. No, sorry. Did it the wrong way around. That's about £900 million. One transfer of $1 million a day would be roughly 3 years. And that's if it was every day. Well, you know, sometimes you might have had to borrow money from your friends and you pay them back incrementally in parts, in, you know, various installments or whatever. Or even if you have something on finance for 12 months, 24 months, so you might make 12 or 24 payments. What was it, 4,723? So rounding up, nearly 5,000. Even I'm aghast and astonished at what can that be for? What is that for? Now you can obviously hypothesise, again, don't like to use the word services, but hush money? What are we talking about? Are we talking about bribery? Are we talking about blackmail, extortion? Bearing in mind this is pre-presidency, even his first presidency. It would take you 31 years to count to 1 billion. Good stat there, Graham. I do like a good trivial stat myself. So sending him $1 every second would take 31 years.
Flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, that is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there. Hundreds of millions more flow.
Laundering, that's another good point there, Edward. Yes, of course. Trump's the kind of guy who's so business savvy that he can let a casino run itself into the ground. Casinos, more or less, just, you know, they're like a license to print money if you want a casino, essentially. As long as it's well managed by experienced people. But no, Trump couldn't even do that. So yes, again, are they trying to make dirty money legitimate by doing these transfers? So are you thinking that Epstein was doing that on Trump's behalf? Could have perhaps been the other way around. Trump might say, you do this for me and I'll clean your money. It could have been the other way around. We're just debating and speculating here, people. But I think we're getting pretty close to the kind of nefarious stuff you can expect from this level of what can barely be described as human beings.
Through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate. The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions.
Oh, that's really naughty these days, isn't it? Oh no, it gets worse. Russian banks. Oh no. As if that wasn't bad enough for Trump already. Can you see the MAGA hats jumping out of the seats now? Those that have still, for some reason, stood by Trump during all these obvious revelations. But that Russian banks? Russian banks? One MAGA hat invited his mother and his sister into the room to come and witness what he'd just heard, but only one person walked in.
To process payments related to sex trafficking. A lot of the women and girls he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and elsewhere.
Wow. Ugh. Doesn't it make your skin crawl? Doesn't it make your skin crawl, people? Yeah. Talking about atrocious things here. So exhibit, well, they probably run out of alphabet letters now, whatever number that is. They need to impeach this bastard right away, right away, come on, come on. Could you imagine if Democrat president had done this, what Republicans had been saying? It's also been strongly suggested that so little has been done about this because other people on the list are in such superior positions of power within the executive and the judiciary. It's been implied. Katie, you think there's going to be a mass burning of MAGA hats now? There have been a lot of people who've jettisoned this ludicrous cult already. A lot of celebrity backers. What have they got to say? What have they got to say for themselves? Of course, including, unbelievably, which happened during both of Trump's campaigns, well-known figures in the African American community as well. Well, we tried to warn them who they were associating themselves with. Let's not forget the pure hubris of the Democrats last time around to just assume that Kamala Harris was going to walk into the White House. All she did was replicate Biden's already proven to be insufficient policies in the first place. Arguments about Biden's health aside, but if she was just going to carry on the same campaign that he was. There you go. And at this moment, I think I should do my honourable duty. I've decided to just issue a preemptive obituary now that all this is going on, and as I mentioned, Ghislaine Maxwell has been brought in for questioning, so just there you go. Just leave that there for a few moments, we can all gather our thoughts. (1961) to next week or so, Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of Robert. Bloody teeth, that's a great suggestion there in the chat. Jubilee should do 20 MAGAs versus 1 immigration citizenship test. Good idea. Good idea. When you look at even American literacy rates compared to the rest of the world, and how many only speak one language, for example. Math grades, English grades, all the rest of it, that's a really good idea. I've still not seen all of the Mehdi Hassan one with the 20 right-wingers. But from what I have seen, that was brilliant. There was one of them, of course, who openly declared himself as a fascist, and then he got fired from his job. Wonderful. Wonderful. It just goes to show, as per your point there, Mehdi Hassan, being an immigrant who gained citizenship to the United States, knows more about the United States of America than his, should we say, debate opponents in that situation. If you actually put the immigration test in front of them, all 21, I'd back Hassan probably to get the highest score. Well, we know that he'd pass it anyway. De facto, because he is an American citizen. Eddie, great to see you in the chat. MAGA is now Massa, make America small again. Good point. Genie Bottle, if Trump pardons Maxwell, she can sue and get compensation, then pay Trump some funds for a new golf course. I hope not. He's been out playing golf in Scotland as well, hasn't he? He's going to Downing Street tomorrow, is it? Or is it Tuesday? It's early this coming week. Oh, I really wish that I could get down for the protest for that, unfortunately. I'm unable to. But I'm going to get fear of missing out with that one. I'll bring you the latest news. I dare say, people, that I know a few individuals who'll manage to make it down to Whitehall to protest outside the gates of Downing Street, or perhaps at Parliament. What kind of cock-ups is he going to make this time? Of course, he's not very good when it comes to, you know, formalities in state visits. Wonder what it's going to be this time. But I do hope that the big inflatable baby Trump balloons make another appearance as they did last time, because I know that he really hates those. So if anybody who's listening might be in possession of one or two of those, then let me know. I should get it pulled over by the Met. Do you mind telling me what you've got in your boot here, sir? Oh, those, they're just they're just 15-foot long inflatable balloons of Donald Trump as a baby. Oh look, what's that over there? It's the City of London. Why don't you go and investigate some corporate crime over there, officer? We'll just be on our way with our balloons. Oh yeah, the windmill thing as well, Jeannie. Trump's problem with windmills is from a traumatic event. When younger playing crazy golf, the cells kept hitting my balls. Is that a novelty crazy golf course or something? Yeah, that was a few days ago, talking about Europe having too many windmills. And he was just they don't know what they're doing, look at all the windmills. Of course he's talking about renewable energy, which he's dead set against, because he's a, you know, dinosaur. The windmills, he's got windmill trauma. Graham, I've seen a little bit of the new South Park, but I hear it's pretty incendiary. For anyone who's not aware, there have been a series of cancellations of long-running TV programmes in the States, mostly late-night talk shows, Stephen Colbert being one, Jimmy Fallon. Who's the other Jimmy? There's two Jimmys. What's the other one? I think they're all not getting the contracts renewed, or whatever it is. But obviously the strong mainstream anti-Trump shows, as it were, I don't want to use the word cancelled, because that's right-wing syntax, but they're being disenfranchised, can I put it that way? And it's also been rumoured that he could have his sights set on South Park. Now, specifically about South Park, let me see if I fully understand this. They've recently signed a new deal with Comedy Central, which I think is owned by Paramount. Might be getting that slightly mixed up. Anyway, the deal itself is worth, well, even more than Donald Trump transferred to Jeffrey Epstein, a whopping $1.5 billion. And immediately in the new episodes of the new season, which is season 27, if memory serves, a very long-running TV show, so that one season per year, you know, you're going back to, was it the 1990s when South Park first started? That's a lot of money, but in that first episode they have absolutely torn Trump to shreds. And previously they said, you know, everything that's been said about Trump has already been said. We're not going to focus on him a lot in upcoming material, but this time around, especially considering that they know they might be in the crosshairs, they're almost tempting Trump to cancel him. But then they could sue him, I guess. I don't know. So they've already got 1.5 billion out of it. So it's a massive middle finger to him, and I guess in certain ways Paramount or Comedy Central, whichever it is, or both, by throwing them, what do you call it, a hot potato with the episode, which I do understand brings back some characters that haven't featured since the full-length film came out. If you know what the hell I'm talking about. Slightly spoilery hint there. Hey guy. Hey buddy. I do like a bit of South Park. Myself, I do have to say, they hold no quarter, they don't take any shit, they'll rip anyone. Even people whose viewpoint they take, they rip every religion that there is. Obviously there's been controversy over that in the past, but also atheism itself. They seem to take a particular dislike to the Mormons, the Church of Latter-day Saints, which I understand have featured in a lot of the material, as well as a live stage show that they produced, which had a lot of success. And it was an international tour as well that they'd done with that. Bigger, Badder and Uncuts. Yes, Guitar Guy, great to see as well. Even the title of that film was a phallic pun. They've done other great films. The Team America, of course, that still rings true. That's a film about the Iraq war, the post 9/11. I think that came out soon after the invasion of Iraq. Still rings true today. Okay, Ed, I wasn't going to give away that spoiler, but there you go. It's there in the chat. Yeah. Saddam. It's Saddam. He won't listen. Oh, good stuff. I'm going to be checking that out in full. Guitar Guy, you had it on VHS. Was that the South Park film or Team America? Okay, people. I'll be moving on in just one moment. Okay, people. Fulmar, the Father Ted episode with the Cuban priest. Yeah. A. Graham, is the Mormon Church the richest in the world? I won't be surprised. If you look at America, those mega churches, yeah, these grifters, while some of them have pretty big fortunes, personal fortunes, hundreds of millions of dollars, which could solve world poverty, but they're not that kind of, air quotes, Christian, are they? And obviously they're the loud evangelical types. Might attempt somewhat of a impression, I don't know. Don't want to be too loud. But, yeah, you know the ones. And with the Lord, and will you believe in the Lord? And just, yeah, very boisterous. And they do the fake, you know, the healing, air quotes, obviously, healing thing. They remove the possession of the devil and the spirit, and they do all of that speaking in tongues stuff, and it's a bit of a freak show, if I'm being perfectly honest. All of that stuff. Yeah. God loves you. You do what he says, or you go to eternal hell, damnation, but he does love you, and he wants your money. To paraphrase the late great George Carlin there. Thanks for the heads up on the on-screen chat, I'll just refresh that. Sorry if it does lag from time to time, people. I do my best to keep my eye on it. I'm going to get into matters in Gaza now. I'm just deciding where to go first. Might start with this Geldof interview. Like I said, he's popped his head out of the parapet. Apparently, he gives a shit. No, not heard much from him previously though, but this will be my first time reaction, apart from I've seen a little bit of something he said about how he suggests that Israelis protest against Netanyahu, yeah, which I'll comment on as we get through it. And then the latest about these so-called the relief effort. Israel have started airdrops, which is the worst way of trying to get aid in, but like I said earlier, it's all overstated and not nearly enough compared to what's needed is reaching Gazans in this terrible famine. Okay then, let's start with Geldof on Sky News, I think it was.
Bob, you've written very strongly about the situation in Gaza this week. What made you want to get into it now?
This is Trevor Phillips who's interviewing him, I believe.
Like everyone else, I would have an opinion about the war itself and its conduct on both sides. But that opinion would be precisely the same as the next guy in the bar. When it comes to famine and starvation, I think I have a right to speak. I've had 40 years of doing this. I was a founding patron of the Genocide Aegis Trust for Genocide Studies, which is an arm of the...
Please, people, let me know if you've, even in the last, he said 40 years there, of course, that goes... a long way back, but not as far back as the occupation began itself. But have you heard anything in the last 20-odd months from Bob Geldof about this? Even though, as he says, he's very high up in an anti-genocide campaign group, as he claims. Let me know. No, seriously, I'm not being sarcastic. It sounds like I'm being slightly sarcastic. But I've been obviously spending a lot of time on this subject, and what well-known people have had to say about it comes into that a lot, and I've got to say, this is the first time that I've heard anything from Geldof. The only time that I brought Geldof up recently was in response to a comment on the Kate Nash video, actually, because I think someone on that, or was it another video, pointed out, oh no, sorry, it wasn't that, it was on Twitter, yeah, somebody, some air quotes anti-woke right-winger, posted a picture of Freddie Mercury at Live Aid and said, you know, there was no politics there, it was just, you know, people being together and enjoying the day, there was no politics at Live Aid. So of course I had to bring up the fact that I was aware that Bob Geldof here made this rant. I've seen this clip of him making this rant about them not mentioning the phone number for donations enough, and having this scrappy piece of paper and reading out the number and swearing on TV and saying, no, fuck this, I want to read this phone number out and stuff like that, being very political in the process. And of course they all got on stage at the end at Live Aid and sang the Feed the World song. The Do They Know It's Christmas? Yeah. So, yeah, bullshit that it wasn't political. But that's the only time that he's come up, and that's because I brought him up in response to a comment like this. And I'm looking in the chat now, live, and I see that none of you've got back to me about that, which suggests that he's been absent. I've not seen him. I've not seen him.
National Holocaust Museum in the UK. And to be honest with you, Trevor, it enrages me to a point beyond comprehension when I see the images that Sky News were publishing and what Dr. Maynard was reporting from it.
Well, if was it the director of that institution, then surely he'd be aware that what is happening in Palestine right now echoes that period in history. And yes, there is the irony that it is Israel, which claims to be the first religious states in history, specifically the first Jewish states, and what that religion went through during the H word as well. Yes, there is a great sense of irony in that, but that doesn't stop you from seeing what you're seeing with your very eyes. You can't deny that it's comparable. You can't deny that by definition alone that it's against international law, the Geneva Convention. You know, if you're the director of such an institution that you really care about this as a subject, you can't have the blinkers on or be selective with which G words you do see and you don't see.
Inside Gaza. And at that point, I thought that the 40th anniversary of Band-Aid, my own past and history with this, I thought I should say something now.
The Israeli view is that there is actually no famine caused by Israel. There's a man-made shortage, but it's been engineered by Hamas. I guess Israelis would say we don't see...
Oh, what's happened? They denied that they were starving in the first place. They say, oh, no, they're having all these meals. Then they admit that there is one, and then they're forced to admit that it's human caused, but they say that it's caused by Hamas, who they falsely accuse of stealing the food, because they're not stealing the food because the food isn't getting in. There's nothing to steal, and it's just the fact that these new bullet distributions, aid distribution centres that they've set up with America are an absolute shit show of a disaster. Yeah, that's what it has come to. But the man-made, human-caused element certainly lies with Israel and not with Hamas.
Much criticism from your side of Hamas?
That's a false equivalence, and the Israeli authorities are lying.
They're lying, did you say?
They're lying. Netanyahu lies.
They're
Is a
lying.
liar. The IDF are lying.
The penny's dropped.
They're dangling food in front of starving,
Geldof can smell the coffee.
panicked, exhausted mothers. And while they arrive to accept the tiny amount of foods that this sort of set up pantomime outfit, the Gaza humanitarian front, I would call it, as they dangle it, then they're shot wantonly. This month, up to now, 1,000 children or 1,000 people have died of starvation. I'm really not interested in what either of these sides are saying. When you target infants and children, when their wounds are no longer capable of healing, when breastfeeding mothers can no longer do this, then everything goes out the window. Talk about...
It's not just that, they don't even let powdered milk in. We mentioned on the last live stream that people get searched, doctors get searched as they enter, and if they've got formula or powdered milk on them, that gets confiscated, and they are deliberately trying to starve children in that action. Disgusting.
Recognizing Palestinian states. This, at this point, is a kind of virtue signaling. It's academic. It doesn't matter. This wanton criminality must stop immediately. As an instrument of war,
the Israelis would say...
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, the Israelis will... Here we go. Just before he gets into this bit, the scheduled propaganda comeback. The Israelis aren't part of this conversation, Trevor. Okay, so you don't need to represent them. You're interviewing Bob Geldof, not Israel in this point. I'll get onto that in a moment. But yes, Floor Snake, how surprised did Trevor Phillips sound when he heard someone say on live television that Israel's lying? Oh, but Israel's lying? Is that what you just said? He almost couldn't comprehend it. You could tell him did you say that Israel would lie? Of all... No. Really? Anybody with a brain in the head wouldn't be shocked by that fact. You know? If I had a penny every time Israel told a lie, I could solve your world hunger tomorrow and give you luxury automated communism with it. But no. Don't be shocked, Philip. We're all pretty much aware of the fact that they're just bullshit artists.
Nutrition is a crime.
Just as a matter of fact, the Israelis would say that there are over 700 trucks sitting inside Gaza waiting for the United Nations to...
It's just informed you that they're lying, so that is therefore invalid. It's a fault... For what it's worth, we'll read out this lie that a sufficient amount of food is reaching Gaza. You can say as many thousands of trucks as you want. You can put it in tonnage, as they've been doing, million, billion, kajillion tons, and all the rest of it. Whatever metric you want to use, it is not sufficient, whether it's the number of drops, tonnage, or meals.
To collect them, and they say that this is a result of the UN's own incompetence, that this material, these food is there. And
Trevor,
I don't think there's any argument that
Trevor, wake up.
There,
even Bob Geldof fucking gets it, and he's been quiet as a mouse for the last 20-odd months, Trevor, for fuck's sake. And I'm not sure if he's directly crossed paths with the likes of David Mensa and Zippy Hotovelli. We know that Mensa, appearing on Radio 4 earlier this week, went, tipped old Nick Robinson over the edge. But come on, Trevor. Now we know that this could be getting fed to him in his ear, but just on a personal level, as a journalist, he's got to know that these are lies, and if he's going to repeat them or defend Israel, then he should be ashamed of himself. He should walk out and say, well, let some other schmuck tell these lies, but I am aware of my reputation as a professional, and I don't want to end up on the wrong side of history with this when people look back.
I know you have to be fair-minded. I don't.
It's not... If... Let's pick a different subject. If they were reporting on a serial killer, they don't turn around and say, but the serial killer would say that they all deserved it, you see, for whatever weird fucked up reason. They don't defend that. They wouldn't defend it if it was a burglar, another news story. Oh, but you know, the burglar would say he needed the things to sell for money. Oh, they don't do that, so why do it for Israel? The answer lies in two words, and it's a name, and that name is Rupert Murdoch. Motherfucker.
I know this stuff back to front. Band-Aid deals with these sort of people all the time. They're lying. And this is a disgrace. And if the news feeds and social feeds weren't so censored, would not permit what has been done in their name.
Just go back a few seconds there. I think the audio cut out.
Feeds and social feeds weren't so censored in Israel. I imagine that the Israeli people would not permit what has been done in their name.
You actually say in terms that what we're seeing in Gaza is the responsibility of the whole Israeli people. But
I think he might be trying to change the subject here. Before he does that, just on what Geldof said, I think that there has been an upturn in the amount of Israeli citizens who protest against what the country's doing in their name, but I do still think overwhelmingly they're falling for the fact that the nucleus of this is the hostage situation. They care about a relatively small number of people who are still alive, more than hundreds of thousands of dead Gazans. If you're putting human life on balance, then unfortunately, yeah, while they are still protesting, more of them are protesting, it is mostly concerning the lack of return of the hostages, because they can't sort of connect the dots that a victory for them isn't going to come from aerial bombardment and starvation. It's going to come over a table. But that's also twinned with protest against domestic issues, the corruption that's going on. We know that this occupation is being used as a distraction from that by Netanyahu, who has managed to dodge appearing in courts on corruption charges several times now because of this. But this is all he's got to cling to. And that, twinned with his maniacal plan for wider occupation in the region, is why he's relentless. He doesn't give a crap about the hostages. He uses them as pawns way more than Hamas do, if you want to get into that. We know that Israel are prepared to let their own citizens die. We saw that on October the 7th, 2023 itself with the Hannibal Directive. And I'm even more certain that the only reason Netanyahu values them is that at the moment they're his best excuse, as it were, to commit these atrocities. So for him, if he had the remaining, I think it's about 20 living hostages back, that would be a disaster for him, because of the situation that he set up himself. I just wanted to address that before Trevor and Murdoch try and take the conversation elsewhere.
I think you'd accept that Mr. Netanyahu doesn't command a majority of the voters in Israel, and he faces regular demonstrations against the war. Isn't it a bit unfair to blame all Israelis for this?
No, because they're the ones at war. Their government... Now,
this part I have seen before. And about, he thinks that Bob Geldof is making a generalisation about Israelis and how they're choosing to protest. But listen specifically to what Geldof suggests, because I know that I will want to get onto that point.
Is at war in their name. Whatever about the origins of this war, and I would completely agree with everyone as to what happened on October the 7th. Inhumane, disgusting, and disgraceful. But we're way, way past that now. We're down to some base level of bestiality. And if the Israeli people are aware of what's been done in their name, and you've had on Sky News Dr. Maynard reporting exactly where people are being targeted as they queue for food. Let me just finish this. Yes. And they're being used, quote, as target practice, so that one day they're targeted at their abdomens, the next day young men are targeted in their testicles. Trevor, please, anyone watching this, please, we're way beyond the protestations of this government who are stacked with extremists. And Netanyahu has now gone beyond anything he proposed as his war aim. He's flailing. And the object, the subject of this flailing is these children. And honestly, I don't want to hear from Hamas. I don't want to hear from Netanyahu. Stop this by any means right now.
The Israeli Defense Force, of course, would contest your description.
Okay, the little bit that I said I've already seen might have been spliced together. I saw that original part. What Geldof said there was on point. I think he's going to get on to what I wanted to mention in just a moment. But he's right, they are way beyond that as a population.
Of what is happening around
of
those
course they do.
Stations. And
show me an army behaving like they do who doesn't.
But I think that the issue here is we can see demonstrations weekly by Israelis against their own government.
Not enough, mate.
And the point I'm really just making is, isn't it a bit unfair to say this is the Israelis as a whole?
Stop it. Stop it, Trevor. What's unfair is what's happening to these babies. What's unfair is that image that you showed us. That's unfair. 1 hour from... I've been in Gaza.
Look, Trevor,
I've been in the
pictures
West
are
Bank.
there.
I've been in Israel many times.
How many... I do avoid bringing you the worst clips and pictures, etc. on the streams, but I've seen endless pictures like this and far worse. Trevor's acting as though he can't... Look at this child. This poor child that just weighs a few ounces.
What's unfair is that 1 hour from the hunger, people are sitting down to their unthreatened dinners to turn on the next Netflix soap. 1 hour. So if Israelis want to protest, get in your cars. This is very Bob stuff, I know. Sorry about that. Okay. Get in your cars, stuff your cars full of food and drive through that border and let your own army stop you.
Well, as much as that might sound like a good idea, you have to be realistic about the situation, Bob. If I were in that situation myself, here domestically, let's hypothesise that this was happening in France and we were landlocked with France. Yeah, you can bet your ass that I'd try and get down to the coast and everybody who I know with food to get through the border. But in this case, and I want to bring up the Hannibal Directive, again, I think Bob knows what would happen. I think he should know that the IDF would be more than willing to shoot at its own citizens. Realistically, I would say that they would accuse anybody trying to take aid over the border of being complicit with Hamas, of aiding Hamas. And he said, let their own army stop them. And he's perhaps envisioned, he sees that by sheer weight of numbers that they'll manage to get through. But if thousands of trucks containing aid that do have some weight and propulsion behind them when they move at full speed can't break through a barrier the way that Bob's describing, then what chance does he give to fleshy human beings. And they'd obviously lie about it. They would say they fell on some bullets. Or that, we had no choice because they were trying to feed hummus to hummus. But I think that is what would most likely happen. And you'll forgive me for saying that that's probably why there's no such current domestic campaign in Israel. Although they've protested at Netanyahu's properties, some of which were hit during the strikes by Iran, of course. But they'd be accused of aiding and abetting the enemy because the IDF in Israel's perception of the value of human life is certainly a lot more twisted than, shall we say, ordinary people's non-Zionists. While that might be a good suggestion there, Bob, I don't think it's really going to happen.
Stop it. You guys stop it. Shame on you.
But one other thing I just want to say about your argument, about your article, before we come on to talk about our own government. You say that the Israelis will sit down to unthreatened dinners and soap operas on TV. But I think an Israeli would be saying to you now, whatever the truth about what's happening as you've described it, even before October the 7th, before that atrocity, they would say that there were people under constant attack from the Iranians, from the Houthis, from Hezbollah, from Hamas. They do have reason to be fearful, don't they?
No, because that's bollocks, Trevor. Of course you know it. It's Israel who are the oppressors, in this situation. The times when Iran hit back, they didn't instigate this. Yeah, Israel, your Iron Dome system isn't all it's cracked up to be. You're not so untouchable as you once thought. It totally hit your egos, hit your hubris, right in the bollocks. And that's the way. If you attack another country, it is completely unwise and naive to not expect some sort of resistance or answer to that. As for the Yemenis, of course, their blockade happened. This doesn't concern the citizens. It concerns trade and shipping that they're stopping. So the civilians aren't under threat from the Yemenis. It's Yemen and the Houthis stopping trade. So it's bullshit, Trevor. Come on. At least give us a bit of intellectual credit here, Sky News.
They do indeed, and I entirely support and endorse the state of Israel. This is not part of this. This is about using infants as instruments of war and starving. Trevor, there are very few people watching this program.
It's a failed state. It's a failed experiment. Forget the sentimentality. Forget the nostalgia of post-World War II. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous stance. It's a failure. It's been a failure. And unfortunately, ever since they've had the first opportunity, they've acted with oppression. And that's because it's nothing short of the 51st state of America, Bob. If you think that the creation of Israel came out of some sense of sympathy as opposed to geopolitical strategy, then maybe you're not as informed as you think. Because for Israel and America to have its hands on that region, which contains so many natural resources, as you know, Bob, that's the prerogative. That's been their prerogative for decades. For the resources and for political control in total over the region against their perceived biggest enemies around there, which currently would be China, Saudi Arabia and Iran.
Are seen, are heard, babies dying, of hunger, or seeing the panicked mothers or the fathers and their failure to take care of their children, just stop. Just stop.
What do you make of our own government's reaction so far?
Not enough. And, you know, this is a distractive thing about, oh, let's recognize the state. Absolutely. It should have been done ages ago. But it's not going to make any material difference. Please, Labour MPs, stop signing your letters. You know, stop Prime Minister and that. You know, it's a plain fact that David Lammy would like to immediately recognise it. It's a plain fact Keir Starmer probably would. But he's got Trump, you know, up in Scotland. It's...
I don't know if you're referring to the same David Lammy, Foreign Secretary, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer that I know, Bob, but they want to do that? No, Bob. What have you been reading? What can I say? I'll go off on a tangent if I start on that. They're dragging their feet on the so-called two-state solution. France are ahead of us on that front, as are a lot of other European countries who won't even officially recognise Palestine as a state at the moment. Which they are the two very people who do it. All they have to do is authorise it with the stroke of a fucking pen, Bob. It's as easy as that. But do you not know who they're lobbied by? Do you not know who the handlers are?
Probably he feels it's in Britain's greater interest to stay as close to the US, especially with this variable president at the moment. So there's big pictures in there, but enough. Guys, focus on the issue to hand. It isn't the recognition of the state. That will come inevitably, and the sooner the better. But that isn't the issue with what you are telling us nightly, Trevor. The issue is, can we stop these children and their exhausted and panicked mothers?
Bob, I don't know if you're aware, but being internationally recognised as a state does come with its benefits vis-a-vis recognition of any atrocity that might be taking place upon you. That's why it's fundamentally important, because they will get politically, internationally recognised as a state. And that brings other organisations into the fray as well, Bob. It's a big part of it.
As you yourself reported, children are, as the FT reported today, children are taking a teaspoonful of salt and as much water as they can drink to fill their bellies. Who are we? Who are we? In Bristol this week, they created the fourth largest computer that can do 23 quintillion deductions in a second. And children...
Yeah, I bet it can even... I bet it can even figure out that David Lammy and Keir Starmer don't want to recognise Palestine as a state.
Children are taking a teaspoonful of salt and a belly full of water down the road. Shut up. What have we become that we can do this miracle and perpetuate this atrocity, this agony? Honestly, Trevor, seriously, beyond argument, can we all just focus on what's important?
Bob, just before I let you go, can I just ask you very briefly about one other area where I know Band-Aid is active and which, if you like, one shouldn't compare disasters, but is equally worthy, I think, of our attention, and that is Sudan. What should we... do you have any hope of peace there?
No, you're right, Trevor. Band-Aid is active there. If these gang-raped women and their broken bodies and minds can get over the line with their starving kids, then we'll do our best to try and give them some sort of hope for life. But the reality
get over
is,
the line. What does that mean?
University reported since February the 1st this year, when Musk, that deeply troubled person, cackled the richest. I mean, look, the strongest nation on earth, the most powerful man on the planet, and the richest individual ever seen in the history of the world decided with glee to feed, in their words, USAID to the chipper. The net result is that so far 300,000 people have died, according to Boston University, and the Lancet, of all papers, reported 14 million would die before 2030 because of this policy. USAID have shut down all their work in Sudan, and as a result, currently about 2 million children are dying of hunger, again, as a deliberate instrument of war. And there's no one to take care of them, and there's no one to report on it. So the world is not a nice place, but where we can do something, where we can possibly tilt it a little towards justice and fairness, then we should. And that would be Israel at the moment.
Bob Geldof, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Trevor.
Well, we did invite the Israeli ambassador here for an interview this morning.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
Available.
Good. I don't think I could take... He said she, I'm assuming that's going to be Zippy Hotter Valley. I don't think I could take a dose of her today, to be honest. After that.
The Israeli military has announced a tactical pause in fighting in 3 areas of Gaza. It'll designate secure routes to help aid agencies deliver food. And we've had this response from the Israeli government. Despite the false claims that are being spread, the state of Israel does not limit the number of humanitarian aid trucks entering the Gaza Strip.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. We've seen them. We've seen them, and we know that it is Israel keeping them back. They are behind the border. They're not in front of the border. It is not Hamas who are holding them back, or anyone else. It's Israel. So straight to who's this? Israeli Defense Force. No individual name. Some prick.
Recently, the Israeli security establishment has advanced a series of measures to stabilize the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip.
They're referring to the bullet distribution centres that are killing hundreds of people per day. They allow people to clamber for what small amount of food there is. It's completely unorganised. They want it to be that way, so they can fire air quotes warning shots that somehow seem to keep hitting people.
Whoopsie daisy!
Including the opening of the Zikkim crossing, the entry of aid via the Egyptian and Jordanian routes, adjusting the inspection capacity at the crossings, developing joint plans with the UN and international organisations to improve collection capabilities, and more. Over the past month,
So this is the same United Nations that you accuse of being anti-Semitic and part of Hamas. This is that same United Nations who widely condemn you, apart from you don't condemn yourselves, and the US vote in your favour every time, but overwhelmingly everybody else condemns your actions, and now you say that you want to develop joint plans.
we've witnessed a significant decline in the collection of aid from the crossings into the Gaza Strip by international aid organisations.
A significant decline in the collection of aid from the crossings into Gaza Strip by international aid organisations. Yeah, that's because you've been condemning and literally attacking them all for the last 2 years. And now you say, oh, they're not doing enough. We're the ones who are really helping out with the bullet distribution, the aid distribution centres.
Whoopsie daisy!
The delays in collection by the UN and international organisations harm the situation and the food security of Gaza's residents.
No apologies, no remorse, Nothing, just bullshit and deflection, trying to take the blame away from themselves, as always. And so far, all they've done is send in a few airdrops, which we know is the very worst way to distribute aid. You know, a pallet with a few crates on it, strapped together, bit of cargo netting gets parachuted in. They land on people. They land on people's houses. I've heard eyewitness accounts of people being crushed. Witnesses who say they've seen as they land. I'm sure that's the way Israel wants it as well. It's no accident that that's the chosen modus operandi. And we've not seen the kind of action from Starmer that he said was going to happen yet. Get UK forces in there to assist with the distribution of aid and the flow. I'm a peace-loving man, but I wouldn't fancy the IDF's chances up against our boys, that's for sure. And if that's what it takes to get the aid in, then that's what we've got to do. Otherwise, we're on the wrong side of history. If you have the means and capacity to do that and you don't use it, you're complicit in your inaction, you're complicit in your silence. And I don't want that happening in my name. Let's just see if there's any updates on that now. This is the latest live feed. I'll just quickly check if there have been any significant developments, but failing that, we'll move on to see some of the protests against what's happening here. These pictures again, holding out dented pots and pans, whatever they can. That's one of the airdrops, but aid agencies say it's not enough, of course. This tactical pause, as it's being described, you'll have to forgive my pessimism, but like with previous ceasefires, I can't really put any confidence in its longevity, if I can put it that way. Lammy trying to look pensive there. Is he thinking, will I end up in The Hague? Is he wondering where his next lobby check is going to come from? What's on his mind, people? What do you think? David Lammy's thinking there. Share your thoughts with me in the chat. Or in the comments if you're watching back on the replay. Just a quick note, people, make sure you've hit thumbs up on tonight's stream, give us a share around your social media and a follow at MyLeftEye UK. On Blue Sky preferably, but also on Twitter and Mastodon. He has put out a statement for what it's worth. He says, and he probably said this very slowly whilst emphasising one random word here and there. We need a ceasefire that can end the war, for hostages to be released and aid to enter Gaza by land unhindered, he said in a statement. If he said that verbally, that whole thing would have taken him about 40 seconds. He added that while airdrops will help, land routes are the only viable and sustainable means of proving aid into Gaza. I guess that is the case. These measures must be fully implemented and further barriers on aid removed. The world is watching, he says. No mention of forces being used outside of the RAF not being involved in today's airdrops. Well, good. You know, it's just such an inaccurate way of distributing aid. This has to happen in a formal way, on a person-to-person basis, i.e. an organised line, or multiple lines, of course. Not just, you know, scattering it here and there and hoping for the best, because these people are so desperate that it's completely naive not to expect them to fight over things that they get. This is what it drives people to do. And you're going to condemn them for that? For clambering over each other to get what they can? Imagine if that was you. Imagine if that was your family that you were trying to save. Or your children. Like, how dare they be so naive as to not expect that? Just dump some crates on a pallet down wherever, randomly. Here'll do. It's 2025. Geldof mentioned that new developments in computer technology versus what's happening on the other side of the world. People, we have mechanisms on this planet that use a single atom as a counterweight, and yet we can't accurately deliver aid in 2025. It's one of the few, you know, it was hit and miss there in that Bob Geldof interview. You find yourself nodding along sometimes and then sort of tutting at his what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use naivety again too much, but yeah, he keeps hitting the mark, but when he misses, he's missing some pretty big points. Scanning through what it's worth, knowing about what Trump said. I just want to move this window over, actually. Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on. Not worth repeating. Oh look, would you look at this? Immediately after this pause happened, what did I say about my lack of optimism, people? Video appears to show IDF struck apartments in Gaza City after the pause began. It appears to have hit a residential apartment shortly after the Israeli military announced a humanitarian pause in the area. The BBC approached the IDF for comments on the strike and provided the military with the coordinates of where it occurred. The IDF says it checked the coordinates and was not aware of a strike in the area. You must be seeing things. There it is. Oh, we didn't know about that. A separate video filmed from a blood-stained room on one of the upper floors inside, identifiable from the view out of the window, while a photo shows scorch marks surrounding a large hole in the wall and a broken window. By matching the visible buildings and trees to satellite imagery, the BBC geolocated the imagery to Midhat al-Wahidi Street in the Al Rimal district, which confirms the strike happened in an area where the military pause was meant to be underway. The area is home to thousands of displaced people. I don't know if that person at the front of the picture is slow clapping. Yeah, that's what another ceasefire or humanitarian pause broken immediately, and all that they've got to say about it is, we didn't know about it. And nothing further. We didn't know about it.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
And this is what I'm talking about. When it's not properly managed. Israel condemn the official means of distribution. The United Nations, World Central Kitchen and others will handle it with the bullet distribution centre. And now look at this. This is the clambering that I'm talking about. The desperation. Which is only to be expected if you have a bare knowledge of sociology, you know, and humanitarian crises such as this. This is what happens. This is what you would do if you're in the same situation, regardless of your nationality or race. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says he's urged the Prime Minister to give him a ring. Pope Leo XIV has expressed particular concern for the extremely grave humanitarian situation in Gaza. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, of course South Africa instigating a lot of the war crime charges against Israel, said at a summit that they're condemning in the strongest possible terms what they call the genocide committed by Israel and Palestinians, and call on Israel to allow aid to be distributed. Spanish Foreign Minister, Spain of course, recently recognising Palestine as a state, says the induced famine in Gaza is a disgrace, adding that Spain is ready to send everything necessary to Gaza and calls for Israel to allow free passage of aid to the war-torn strip. I think that would also, obviously physically starting to get aid and food to the population is one thing, but I think that will speed up charitable organisations in that fact, because at the moment, what would be the point in sending it if you know that it's not going to get through, while thousands of trucks that contain many tons each of aid sit rotting for weeks and months until, you know, a lot of what's being sent is perishable and does perish. Don't give a fuck what Netanyahu says. I'm not gonna pause for that. That pretty much looks like the latest on the situation anyway. I'll leave that topic there for now. Let me know what you think in the chat, people. On to protests now, and I have a short clip to show you. You might not believe your eyes, but given the recent situation concerning protest in the UK, again, you might find it to be actually quite believable. This is a wheelchair user who was arrested for wearing a t-shirt supporting recently prescribed group PAL Action and 4 stormtroopers actually carried him away in his wheelchair. I commented earlier on Twitter that I hope that they're particularly proud of themselves, and telephoned their mothers afterwards to say how they removed the threat of a peaceful wheelchair user with a t-shirt. They must have sobbed with pride in this. Just look at this. We'll see it again. Sorry, I'll just turn the audio down a bit there. It was a bit loud. Apologies. Look at this. Look at that. Does this look like a threat to society to you? Unbelievable. Shame. Shameful. There's 5 of them there, actually. At least. Can you believe this? Can you believe this, people? This is happening in your name if you live in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, people. I'm disgusted. I really am. I don't know if it was on Friday's stream, but I remember recently mentioning someone who I was on trial with, actually. We both took part in a protest in Parliament Square in October 2020. Sorry, might be getting my years mixed up. But regardless, they're on a mobility scooter. They were arrested. We were acquitted for that one, actually. I should point out. That's people power, people. What do you think about this, though? Now, we've seen octogenarians recently in similar circumstances for holding up placards in support of PAL Action, who were recently prescribed following a non-violent spraying action at RAF Bryce Norton. Good point there, Odin. Given the shortage of prison space at the moment, we're going to have to release a lot of criminal prisoners to make room for these political prisoners. Now, this is obviously an arrest, the next part in the procedure, obviously being transported to the station. Don't know the latest facts, but I would hope that the on-duty desk sergeants at the station would laugh this completely out, because we've seen this happen before. I think it was someone who was arrested just for having a flag. But again, they were completely waved away at the station. Let's hope. The closest I can relate to that happening to me, myself, and quite a few others, arrested outside Downing Street once. But at the time I was only filming the proceedings and spent most of the time on the pavement. I wasn't part of these roadblock swarms that were happening that particular day. Everybody got arrested, but we were released after a couple of hours, because even as it was being explained to the desk sergeant in my case, I could see from the look on his face that he was kind of like, you know, it was Hammersmith station that we were taken to. I'm sure that a central London station has better things to deal with than the 3 of us that were taken away in the same carrier, as it were. I'll keep you posted on this. I do have some good sources, of course, where the protest is concerned, so I might be able to find out what actually happened and I'll let you know as soon as I do, people. Sorry, I've stopped the audio. Okay. Share your thoughts. Stormtroopers keeping your streets safe, people. Oh, absolutely, and this is why I voted Labour. They all say get rid of, don't they? So get rid of. It's like, yeah, we'll just use a magic thing. It vanishes them from. They would never existed in the first place. Get rid of. What does that mean? Are you calling for? Are you calling for the G word? What's? Just get rid of. What? Deport? Mass deport? What are you talking about? Get rid of. Get rid of the bloody lot of them. Get rid of. Would you be phasing out via a series of social policies? Is that what you mean? Or you talk about something more severe? That's one thing that always gets to me, and you hear it a lot from the right. The get rid of. Sometimes it means in the political sense, yes, vote them out, but a lot of the time, you know, let's be honest, we're talking about the likes of people who'd call into GB News, you know, maybe, what's that other one? Talk TV, James Whale, that awful pair, and LBC and things like that. We need to get rid of XYZ. Okay, there have been other protests this week. I did say that I'd keep you up to speed with the latest progress on the most recent flotilla. The last time I was with you on a stream on Friday, they were getting quite close to where the Madeleine had got before it was intercepted. I just want to make sure that I do this in chronological order here. So, it's a good news, bad news situation, I've got to be perfectly honest, people, but I will start with the good news in this case. They did manage to surpass, just wait for this to load up on Twitter. Oh, it's Twitter, never X. I'll just quickly tell you they managed to surpass where the Madeleine got up to. Sorry, it just takes a bit longer loading while I'm streaming live. So if I shut it, it should speed things up. Yes, there we go. I think there's a bit of a map here. Oh, it's the picture on this one. It's a good picture though. Check this out. They passed. That's the Handala. This is the one that's currently out there. He says. All eyes on the Handala as they surpassed where the Madeleine had gotten up to. But unfortunately, people, they were then intercepted. Navarra Media actually provided a really good report on this. I'm going to read from that because I guess they say it as well as I could. Big up Navarra Media as well, they do good stuff. I've met Ash a couple of times as well. That's Ash Sarko. So I'll just go through this with you. So they were just 60 miles, nautical miles, a few hours sailing time off the coast of Gaza. This was last night, before being intercepted by Israeli forces. The boats believed to have been in international waters at the time, making Israel's actions illegal. Illegal. Again, flashing neon sign. Illegal under international law. The Handala was carrying vital humanitarian aid, including aforementioned baby formula. Like I said, that's been confiscated deliberately. That's to hundreds of thousands of Palestinians facing imminent death from starvation. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition said it aimed to send a political message by breaking Israel's illegal siege and carrying the supplies into Gaza, where starving people are being gunned down at aid distribution points and skeletal children are filling hospital wards. We saw some footage of that earlier. I'm sure that you've seen multiple examples of that on your social media as well. The crew managed to sail substantially closer to the coast than the last Freedom Flotilla boat, the Madeleine, which was stopped in June, with Greta Thunberg and French politician Rima Hassan on board. The United States Labour Movement organiser Chris Smalls joined 18 other activists on the Handala, including academics, politicians and artists. 2 Al Jazeera journalists were also on board. At just past 2:30 British time on Saturday, the crew reported it had passed the point where the Madeleine was intercepted, and just after 5 PM it said it was just 10 hours from land. A few hours later, crew members reported seeing drones circling overhead. 2 vessels believed to be Israeli Navy then approached but did not respond to attempts to make contact. Other civilian boats in the area reportedly sent messages of support over the radio instead, saying "Free Palestine." Great. The Freedom Flotilla said Israel's lack of response raised serious concerns for the safety of civilians on board, forcing them to alter their course and head due south towards the Egyptian coast. Egypt is believed to have denied a request for permission to enter its waters. Shortly afterwards, it was reported that several Israeli naval vessels were approaching at speed. Soldiers leapt on board the boat, where the crew were holding up hands in surrender. Livestream cameras were disabled shortly afterwards. The crew said they would launch an open-ended hunger strike on being taken into Israeli custody. Now, we saw last time around how the boarding was preceded with smoke canisters, as well as other incendiary devices as well, which again, let's remind everybody, is illegal. Legally, this constitutes piracy and kidnapping, so they'll be taken into custody, similar to Greta Thunberg and friends, as happened last month. So unfortunately they didn't make it through, but the closest attempt that there has been so far, which you have to give credit to, as well as the bravery. So solidarity to the Handala from my left eye. Can we get some flags and watermelons in the chat there, people? I think that'd be quite appropriate at this time. Viva Viva Palestina. Thank you very much for that, people. Great response there with the flags and watermelons. Awesome stuff. Doc, Bloody Teeth, Nina Sadie, Politics Clive. And another good point there, JK in the chat. Not one navy has the balls to escort these historic souls. Like I said before, you know, if you want to put the IDF against the British Navy, even though I am a man of peace, I wouldn't fancy their chances. I want to see people rushing into Admiral's quarters announcing that the IDF Navy are trying to stop us getting aid through. And Admiral's saying, well, we can't have that. Let them have it, Mr. Harris. You know what I mean? Nina said, yeah, sorry about that stuff, that's out of my hands. If you mean comments on videos, people have mentioned, like others have mentioned that as well. I assure you, it isn't myself deleting any of the comments. Now that you mention that, actually, I've tried to keep up with as many, and there have been hundreds on recent content as well. Thank you very much for them. I try and get back to as many as I can. I've not even checked out the ones that have been held back for review yet. To be honest, you just reminded me, so I've still got all those to get through. I will do my best though, people. We're going to hear something now from the horse's mouth. If for any reason you still believe what Israel says, then take this testimony from a former IDF soldier who perhaps has slightly more of a conscience than the rest of them, but they spell it out pretty clearly here. Strange source as well. This came on Piers Morgan's show, so let's hear from this former IDF fella.
As someone who has some knowledge of military strategy, it became very clear to me after a few months that Israel was not fighting this war in order to win it. The fact that Hamas remains in control of large parts of Gaza after so long tells you a lot about the priorities of the IDF and of the government in this war. So when I started seeing that at no point was there a day after plan to replace Hamas, that areas that are still controlled by Hamas are not being invaded by the IDF, and that the decision to stop bringing in aid or lessen the aid considerably is not hurting Hamas at all, because Hamas can get the aid, but it's hurting civilians instead. I started realizing that something else is at play here. It took me far too long. It took me many months to understand that.
Have you seen the meme that's taken from the Mitchell and Webb show? I think it was actually called That Mitchell and Webb Look, was it? And it's the two German soldiers in the 40s, and one points out to the other that they've got skulls on the uniform and wonders if they're the bad guys. That's the meme. Are we the bad guys? You know, we've got skulls on our uniform, for fuck's sake. They're SS soldiers. And that's this guy. That's this guy right here. A living meme, people.
I also have contacts in the IDF. And they started telling me that the IDF is going after the clean water supply, every well, every aquifer, that they're going after every hospital, that they're trying to destroy basically the infrastructure that allows you to live in Gaza. And they're using the same effort and the same tools that they should be using in order to defeat Hamas to do that. So Hamas is in power, but every single house in several cities in Gaza has been destroyed. That's where the effort is going. And that means that there is no reasonable doubt that they're trying to win this war. And more so, there have been offers on the table for Hamas to...
I'm surprised how freely he's being allowed to speak here at the moment, considering the platform he's on, Piers Morgan. You know as well as I do that anyone who even though he's started to come around slightly himself and, like others, recognise the famine and other things, but still on the whole, he generally is a hole. But anybody who starts at length to tell the reality of the situation generally gets interrupted. Whether it's Mehdi Hassan, for example. There have been others on Piers Morgan, but this is quite new, quite strange.
Stop controlling Gaza. That's been part of the hostage deals that have been offered. And Israel has refused to do that and instead has insisted on things like the GHF continuing aid and insisted on creating a concentration camp in Rafah instead of reaching a ceasefire. All of these things indicate that the goal of the IDF and the government is very clearly...
And he's telling the truth about, what is it Israel call it? The humanitarian zone. The humanitarian zone? I don't think so. Yeah, it's a concentration camp. He's probably surprised. You know, I've interrupted this guy more than Piers Morgan at this point, which does surprise me. Is that... That's not Pam Bondi. You see, there's between Piers Morgan and the fella who's speaking, the lady with the blonde hair, and the fella with the black shirt and the stubble there. I'm not familiar with either of those, but if they offer a contrary viewpoint, I'm surprised that neither of them have interrupted yet either. That's not Pam Bondi on the left, is it? I don't know who that is. Looks familiar. Who is it?
To eradicate the Palestinian people and not to defeat Hamas.
And then, again, the quiet part out loud there at the end. Sorry, I was...
someone who had...
interrupting there, I'll just play those last few moments again.
The IDF and the government is very clearly to eradicate the Palestinian people and not to defeat Hamas.
That is the goal. That's their ultimate intention. And that's from somebody who's been there and realised and woken up and smelt the coffee. Because remember, in the definition of the G word, it's all about the intent. It's not about the number of people. The way that Lammy's tried to dismiss it in the past and compared it with other famines. It's the intent to remove an entire people, and that is what's happening. Alright people, goodness, been going for over 2 hours now. Stick around. Be getting to the end of proceedings here, but hopefully we'll be going into a raid. Still lots more discussion to be had, but we're just going to move over to a different platform in a moment. I want to say thanks again to all the members on the channel before we do that. Thank you very much for the gifted memberships today as well. Gone back into 3 figures, 105, on the way to the target of 250. Welcome aboard everybody who's joined us this evening as well. Don't forget people, it's just 99 pence for a month's membership. So well worth it. A fraction of the price of a tasty hot beverage. And yeah, thanks everyone for helping us into new territory with subscribers as well. got over 4,500 this week. Oh, that's not... sorry. Which has been awesome as well. Thank you very much for that. Could be getting to the 5k particularly soon. I hope so. Okay, people, we'll head to the lounge while I decide where we're going to raid into. So that means this is the last we'll hear from Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics this evening. Thank you very much for providing us with the background jazz. Gentlemen, take a bow. Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics. As we take ourselves back into the Fondue Lounge. Let's see who's around. We normally have one or two comrades streaming around this time on a Sunday, so I don't think we'll be. Oh, we are. Sport for choice. We went into Helena last time. We have a choice between Helena and Kev, so I'm going to go with Kev, give them a bit of a Socialist Sunday boost. Make sure that you hit thumbs up when you get over there as well, people. Check that you've done so on this stream before we part ways on this platform, at least. Because I'll be joining you over on Kevin Logan's channel. Sorry, I should have turned the music down there. It's a good earworm though, isn't it? Yes, and I'll be back with you here for Brews at 10 live streams through the week, and keep your eyes out for new video content as well. Whatever you're doing with the rest of the evening, or whenever you're listening back on a replay, take care everybody. My Left, I'll be seeing you soon. I've been your host Lefty, you've been wonderful. Free Palestine, power to the people, good night.
Socialists.
Oh my God.